Raider Nation, what's going on? It's mailbag time. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show was filmed when we went live for Thursday Night Football. And if you guys don't already know by this point, Thursday Night Footballs are more fun than Raiders game days, so I hope they end up pulling up. All the questions that you see are from our loyal subscribers here on the show. So to get your questions, your comments, you got to hit that subscribe button. You got to turn on those notifications. That way, every time we go live on Thursday, you never miss a thing. Let's go to this crazy mother effer right here. 93 Nab Man who came out banging right away. And he's talking about getting into a fight with Isaac Hernandez. These two are battling out on Thursday Night Football. But he wants to know, is there a certain coach maybe in college football? Here's the problem with the Steve Sarkisian. He ain't leaving Texas to be an offensive coordinator. The only way that a guy like Steve Sarkisian's going to the NFL again is if he gets a head coaching job. And you're going to have to pay him probably $20 million a year because the amount of money he's making at Texas, you make more money for some of these guys coaching college football than what you do in the NFL. I'll be real. If there's a name, and just because of the way things go in the league, what about, hear me out, Lincoln Riley. USC's been falling off a little bit. It's been a little bit of a rough year for Lincoln Riley. And what happens if the hype around him gets smaller and smaller and smaller? Because coaches' windows are very small. And I think Lincoln Riley could be somebody that's like, you know what? Maybe I want to leave this thing I got going on at USC and maybe I want to go somewhere to the NFL. But in terms of you bringing in somebody to be an OC that's a head coach, I don't see that happening at any time. Let's go to Raider Prime. You see what Prime and Ice Cube talked about on Dion's show. I did see it. And I know Ice Cube's got a lot to say amongst Raider Nation. I also know that Dion is going to have a lot to say as well. I know Dion would be open to the idea of coaching the team that takes Shedeur. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, there's a part of me that wonders where could Dion look at Travis Hunter, look at Shedeur Sanders, look at his son Shiloh and go, what if we all just forced our way to the same team? And you can hate Dion, you can hate Shedeur, but like, if we could figure out a way to get all these players on one team, that would be pretty crazy. But at the same time, though, the number 2 recruit in college football that's going to be, he's a quarterback, he's going to take over for Shedeur. He's going to go to Colorado. That tells me that I'm pretty sure Dion's going to stay at Colorado, but you never know. Let's go to, not saying it. Do you see Dylan Laube playing this week? I don't know who this person is, but that's a clever name. I'm not going to lie. I was telling you earlier today, I was watching a show like with these people on Peloton bikes, and they're sending in crazy names. I think this name would be Dixon and some sort of cider. I can't figure out which one. I do think that Dylan Laube is going to play this week. I mean, with the injuries to Alexander Madison and the injuries to Zamir White, both of those guys are questionable, and based on the guys that I talked to for the Raiders, even if they're able to play, they're going to be on a pitch count. The Raiders' top 3 running backs, based on what I have been told this week, it's going to be Amir Abdullah is going to be the main back, and then there's going to be some work between Dylan Laube and Sincere McCormick. So what do you think? Will Dylan Laube play this week? Give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know down below in the comment section. Here's the thing. This is going to be the pinned comment. But you're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. Give me your answer. Will Dylan Laube play this week? Yes. And I'm excited to see Laube play this week. He needs to be able to redeem himself. The last time that we saw him play, he put the ball on the turf. Ball security is going to be huge. But at this point of his career, he's a 6th-round pick. If he doesn't play well this game and if he fumbles this opportunity again, he might be out of the NFL. So I'm hoping for Laube he gets it done. Let's go to IThat. Hey, Mitch, what's your current ranking for quarterbacks in the draft minus Cam, Shedeur, Jalen, Jackson, Quinn, Garrett, and Carson? I'll tell you, the only quarterbacks that I'm really looking at right now for the Raiders, number 1 is Cam Ward, number 2 is Shedeur Sanders, number 3 is Jalen Milroe. Outside of that, the Raiders, I don't want Carson Beck. I don't want Jackson Dart. I don't want Quinn Ewers. I don't want Garrett Nussmeier. These are QBs that I don't want. These are quarterbacks that, to me, you're not going to realistically be able to build around with this current Raiders team. Where we are right now in the draft, if we don't get one of those top 3 guys, failure. Failure across the board. If you love the Raiders, if you don't already know, the fact that we get people, you want to know why I know that we're the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? we don't have the fans. Other YouTube channels don't have the fans, loyal supporters, family members that we do on our channel. Like, when you get guys like Isaac Hernandez, 93 Navman, Husker Raider, and I'm talking about they want to bang for the nation. They do it because they know when people watch this show, and I mean it. When you watch this show, I want you to have a smile on your face. I want you to have a good time. I know how difficult this season is, but when you watch this show, live or not live, you're going to have a good time. I also got to give a huge shout out to the Noti Gang, Matt R., Raider Jake, DJ Loaded, Steve Richardson. I see you. I salute you. Thank you so much for always being down in the comments. Let's go to Giuseppe. Did you see that ESPN is Shedeur going to the New York Giants and we get Cam Ward? I did see this mock draft. Also, though, you want to know how I know ESPN's lazy at times? Not ESPN, NFL Network. They released a mock draft that wasn't correct. They released a mock draft on Wednesday that didn't have the right draft order. They made a mock draft on Monday, and then on Wednesday, they just said, you know what, F it, even though it's wrong, we're still going to go with it because the Raiders are picking 5. And their mock draft, the Raiders are picking 4. So did I see it? Yes. And I'll be real, Cam Ward, Shedeur, that's pick 1 and 2. And I'm just telling you, it's going to be pick 1 and 2, maybe and just maybe. Travis Hunter goes in the 1-2 as well. But it's going to be Cam Ward, Shedeur, Travis Hunter. Those are going to be your top 3 picks of the NFL draft. The NFL draft, though, every single year makes me sweat because you never know what the Raiders are going to do in round 1. That's a fact. We already know that that's the truth. But luckily, this year, I got Mando. And if you sweat really bad, just like me, then you definitely need to go check out our brand new sponsor, Mando. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code chat at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. New deodorant spray. It's elite. And its first ingredient is water, not alcohol, which I definitely don't need. It's proven to control odor for 72 hours. It has a 360-degree spray, which I love for my hard-to-reach areas. I also have stinky feet, and I'm not afraid to admit that I have stinky feet. Quite frankly, it's the number one thing that probably drives my fiance, Alex, crazy the most. And with this whole body deodorant, like you can actually, like with this tube here, you can rub it under your arms. Like I usually get really bad back sweat. Like when I walk to work, I always have a backpack on, and I get it here on my back. I do. I rub myself down with some Mando. I smell fresh. I smell clean. I absolutely love it. Also, Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. Think of it like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes and free shipping. As a special offer to our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support the Raiders Report and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Let's get into some more questions here on the show. Edgar, Mitch, what are your thoughts on Mark Davis selling more of the Raiders? I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so, right? Like, this is one of those things where, and I wish I could go back and be able to keep track of every video that I've ever made, but I can go back 2 years ago, and I can tell y'all in a video where I can remember saying it. The Raiders are going to start selling parts of their franchise because they want to get a lot of minority owners. They want to get a lot of owners and kind of do what the Dodgers are doing, where there's a lot of different faces, a lot of guys with a whole lot of money, and they're trying to bring in a bunch of new faces to Las Vegas because Mark Davis's plan is not just to build the Raiders. It's not. It's to build sports and to build the sports industry in all of Las Vegas. Because Mark, it wouldn't surprise me if Mark wants to try to buy part ownership of the A's. He's already got the Aces. He's got the Las Vegas Raiders. He's trying to do so many things to be able to make the Raiders an absolute juggernaut. And I know that salary cap is different in the NFL compared to the MLB. But the reason why a team like the Denver Broncos are okay eating $96 million or whatever the hell it was in that Russell Wilson contract is because they are the wealthiest business owners, where the Broncos business owners, they're worth like $73 billion. The next closest team in the NFL is at like $22 to $25 billion. Still a lot of money, but think about that separation. where then it's okay, where you can eat some money, eat some contracts. Not that big of a deal where a guy like Mark Davis, he's cash poor. Compared to a lot of these other owners, he's cash poor. I like the fact that the Raiders did this. I like the fact that Mark Davis did it because it means, I think, better things coming forward here for Las Vegas. Let's go to Los Oakland. ESPN predicts that Daniel Jones signs with the Raiders. Of course they do. I mean, if I was a writer for ESPN and I knew that nobody knew who the hell I was, I would just put quarterback to the Raiders because it's going to create headlines. Evil Mitch, would you trade up to the first pick if it's the Jags? Why do we need to? If the Jags have the number 1 pick, I don't really see why we need to trade up because the guy that we're trading up to is not going to Jacksonville. And maybe the Jags try to take some calls. They probably would because they're not going to take a QB. They got Trevor Lawrence. It just depends what it costs, man. Like, if there's a lot of other teams vying for that QB, but I'm also okay not trading up to number 1 because I like Cam Ward more than I like Shedeur, and I think if the Raiders traded up to number 1, they would do it to take Shedeur, who, again, they're very high on. But there's a part of me that goes, I kind of just want the second quarterback that's available out of Cam Ward and Shedeur because then there's not as much pressure on the whole situation. Let's go to Breezy B. Will Zamir White be on the team next season? He does have one more year under contract after this season, but if I'm being real with you, I don't know if Zamir White will be on the team. And I think it'll determine a lot of what type of running backs we have on the roster because Dylan Laube is a 6th-round pick. Makes me a little bit nervous, but he's a hard-working kid. Alexander Madison, he's a free agent. But Sincere McCormick, we'll see exactly what he does this week. If you're the Raiders, though, and you get rid of all these running backs, you still need to be able to have running backs on your squad. But the only backs that you're going to have guaranteed on your team next season, Zamir White, Dylan Laube. Because of that depth's not all that great, I'm going to say Zamir will be on the team. But also at the same time, if he has a chance to go somewhere else, if a team offers you a 7th-round pick, the Raiders take that in a heartbeat. Let's go to my man, Navman. I believe Deion will be an NFL coach someday, but everyone please stop the Deion package deal stuff. Deion has been very clear he wants to groom young men to play in the NFL. That's the ultimate pause. That's the ultimate pause. I also know this, though. Deion is open to the idea of coaching Shedeur. And that shouldn't really surprise anybody that I think's watching any type of show. If you have the opportunity to coach your kid, I don't care if it's in Little League, I don't care if it's in Pee Wee football, high school, college. If you have the opportunity to coach your kid in the NFL and you think your kid's that dude, and Shedeur looks like he's a pretty damn good player with his dad, just saying, man. I think Deion to the NFL will happen at some point. I just don't know when it happens, but I think it's just because of the amount of money that he's going to get, unless the college team just says, hey, Deion, here's like $25, $30 million a year to just stay with us. Let's go to Jack. Do you think we will go after T. Higgins? Yes, I do. And this has been another thing that I've talked about. I've said the number 1 big-name receiver that I could see the Raiders going out and getting is T. Higgins next offseason. I've been saying this for months. I know Antonio Pierce is a big fan of Higgins. I also knew that the Bengals were never going to give him a contract. They're going to try to figure out how to pay Jamar Chase, and after the year Jamar Chase is having, they might have to pay him $36, $37 million per year. He's going to make more than what Justin Jefferson got. But I like this question here. Better wide receiver, T. Higgins or Jacoby Meyers? If you type JM to this, then then the Raiders shouldn't go out and get T. Higgins. I'm serious. T. Higgins is going to cost, I think, $25 to $27 million per year next season if he hits the open market, which it sounds like he's going to hit the open market. I do think, though, that T. Higgins is a better receiver than Jacoby. That's not a knock on Jacoby, but Higgins is a physical player, 6'4", about 220, 225, but he's a guy that I'm telling you right now is circled on the Raiders board, especially if they go out and they get a quarterback or if they're planning on getting a quarterback in the draft. Let's go to my man, Tybo. What's up, Tybo? Who would you immediately fix the offensive line? I would fix the offensive line like this. Jackson Powers Johnson at center. You do that, a lot of your offensive line problems are going to be fixed. Then I'm going to put Dylan Parham at right guard. I think he's been able to show that he's locked in there. Right tackle, DJ Glaze. Left tackle, you can still keep Colton Miller. We'll see what ends up happening there. But left guard is going to be the spot where the Raiders really need to be able to adjust and figure out next season. I think left tackle is also going to be a spot too, though, because Colton Miller wants a new contract. Let's go to Lou. If Michael Penix was in this year's draft, would he be the top quarterback? I would say no. That's a hell of a name. I would say no, and that's just because I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. Like, as crazy as I was about Drake May last year, and I think a lot of people knew that I was very high on Drake May, I was very high on Jaden. Hell, I can remember a video that I made where I said Caleb Williams was QB3, and people flipped the F out. It's going to happen. I get it. But I like Cam Ward more than I like Drake May, and I like the pairing of Jaden with AP and the Raiders more than I like Cam Ward with the Raiders. I'll admit that. But Cam Ward, to me, is my QB1. Shedeur, from a name brand standpoint, is a hell of a player, but I don't think he's as good as Michael Penix Jr. Let's go to Just Nick. What's up, man? Should the Raiders trade for Damian Pierce if the Raiders can't draft a running back? No. And I think Damian Pierce is a good back. And he gets banged up a lot, and you can see what Joe Mixon's been doing there. He's been an unbelievable back in Houston. But I'm not team trade for a running back. I think running back is the easiest position in the NFL to be able to replace. Hell, I saw an article today when I was working that it was like, the Raiders really miss Josh Jacobs. I almost LOL threw up from laughing. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who made it. Like I said, I saw it on my Twitter. But whoever's writing articles like that, that's an LOL in my book. Let's go to Los Oakland Raiders 94. I think the Raiders should draft Noel Williams from Cal. DBs, say he's got 7 picks. The Raiders are going to have to make a lot of decisions on defense. And when you look at, they have Jacorian, they got Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs is a free agent, Marcus Epps is a free agent, Trevon Merrick is a free agent. The secondary, the Raiders got to make a lot of moves, no doubt about it. But I think a game like this week is monumental for the Raiders in their evaluation of some of their younger players, especially Decamerion Richardson. Decamerion Richardson was drafted in the 4th round, didn't play a lot of the season because he had some of the injuries earlier on. But if Jacorian's out, if Jack is out, and if Nate Hobbs is out, that's your top 3 starting corners. This could be a big game for Decamerion. And if he goes out there and he plays well, then maybe the Raiders aren't as high on some corners. If he doesn't go out there and play well, then you could see them maybe put a little bit more concentration on that corner position. But based off of reports, based off people that I talked to, quarterback, offensive line, linebacker are the top 3 spots that the Raiders are looking at in the draft. Now, I know that I didn't get to everybody's question, and I apologize for that. You can blame Chugs. You can always hit me up, though, on IG, on Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. I answer as many questions as I humanly possibly can. I will admit, during the holiday season, I slowed down a little bit unless I get more free time. Like, if I get a free day during Thanksgiving break, I'm telling you what, I'll hop on IG, I'll answer some questions, and I'll be able to interact with all y'all. But we are also putting out a lot more content on social media, so if you could, please go check it out. It would mean a lot to me. So to everybody that's tuned in and watching right now this mailbag, if you want your questions featured on the show going forward, you got to tune in to Thursday Night Football.